Hi there, it's Sarah from Inspire Tarot. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas or wonderful holidays. So the cards that we've got today are Strength, the Three of Cups, and Justice. Strength and Justice are both major arcana cards. They're both very powerful cards with strong meaning. And the Three of Cups is a very harmonious and inclusive card. So yeah, I get a really good vibe from these cards today. One of the things that comes through to me is that love is power, or love is the only power. And I know we have a tendency to believe that there's evil in the world that has the power to overpower love, but really that's not true. One of the things that I like to understand is that there's no force that opposes God, and the darkness serves the light. So really all there is light or a lack of light. And as we move towards a lack of light, then it can seem as though something takes on a light of its own, so a life of its own. So, for example, this is how the devil comes out. It comes into play. The less light we have, the more it seems as though there's an evil force which doesn't really exist, but it can be highly compelling. So we need our inner strength to remind us that love is all there is, and that safety lies in defenselessness. I've been blown away by how this is true, how when we don't add fuel to the fire and we don't feed the beast, how easily things can transmute when we don't attack another person or see them as bad or wrong, even if they're behaving unconsciously. And we do have to be very loving with everybody. I think this is depicted in the Three of Cups. There's these three birds kind of flying around in harmony. And of course, whenever you have duality, you're always going to have differing opinions and different perspectives. But we have to remember that these perspectives all come from a distorted way of thinking and like a self-preservation need. And because our self-preservation needs are very distorted, we tend to come at things from just sometimes often from an unloving perspective. And we think we're being loving, but really we're just kind of being selfish. So the Three of Cups coming out is a strong card to show us how community and friendship and presence is really important, and harmony between people. Now, one of the things I know about love is that it's all inclusive. And this can be a difficult one for us to wrap our head around as human beings. How can love be all inclusive? Because we tend to look at things outside of ourselves and think, oh, that's not loving. This is one of the things that I found hardest to learn, is to see when somebody does something that's unloving or unconscious, to see them as not love and to judge them as not love. But really when we do that, we're not love either. And we need to remain in this state of understanding that people are love no matter what they do, and everyone acts from their level of consciousness. Now, their level of consciousness can be like a default state, or it can be a temporary state if they feel triggered. But everything is always perfect love, and everything is always innocent in the eyes of the Holy Spirit. And this is one of my favourite things about A Course in Miracles, is that it's just irrefutable that everything is love and everything is innocent at all times. Even if we kill somebody, we're still innocent, because God would never have put us in a world where we could feel under threat by anything, or we could be harmed by anything. So if we're killing someone or doing something like that, then usually it's an act of self-preservation or belief in an external threat which is based on an illusion. And as such, we can't be punished for our illusions. It's a little bit like when we have a dream at night and it seems real and we think, oh gosh, I've killed somebody. And then you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, thank goodness for that. I really dreamt that I'd killed somebody. Thank goodness it was only a dream. Well, God and the Holy Spirit see the world in much the same way and think, oh well, it's just a dream. It's not real. To us, this world is real, but it's not real. In the wider understanding of everything, only love is real, and anything that's seen as not love is not real. But underpinning everything is love and this divine strength. I see something on Instagram where there's people who love tigers and spend their whole life living with tigers, and these tigers love and trust them. And to most people, that's kind of incomprehensible, and you wouldn't do that because we have these beliefs that tigers can overpower us, that there's things in the external world that can overpower us. And this is never true. The external world is basically a puppet to our perception. And we have complete, not control is not the right word. We have power, perceptual power over everything. And we're not really bodies. So it is possible, and when we're not fearful, to love animals without fear, and they pick up on that energy. And they reflect back to us this loving state. And this is how love is power. If somebody attacks us, or seems to attack us, or lash out at us because we can't really be attacked, then if we don't retaliate, we may want to defend ourselves, but we don't need to lash out or attack or judge the other person. Can always come at everything from a state of love. One of the things that I love about, I think it was Marianne Williamson said, all human behaviour is love or a call for love. And I just love that way of thinking, because it shows us that if somebody's calling for love, rather than attack them or punish them or see them as unloving, we need to kind of take the higher road. And that doesn't mean I'm better than you. It's just an understanding of needing to see everything as innocent in order to stay in the oneness and the harmony. We have to have a fixed point, and oneness is the fixed point. That's our ultimate aim. We cannot have this harmony when we're in duality. It's just not possible to obtain it. We always have to go beyond the paradox of duality to unity, where everything is always resolved, by understanding that everything that happens to us is always for our highest good. Even when it feels like someone's being unloving towards us, we have the opportunity to see, A, that we attracted it because we need to learn to see something differently, and B, that they're doing their best and that they're innocent too. And I always feel that when I evaluate life this way with the Holy Spirit, then it just doesn't seem threatening. You really do get to see how the distortion is in the mind. The threat is in the mind. It's not in the external, because we can neutralise it by thinking about it differently, and then it seems to lose its threat, lose its power, and we're back in our power. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about the Justice card as well. So we live under divine law. So many people, when they see the Justice card, may think it's to do with the law, human law. But human law is based on duality, and duality is an illusion. So human law is kind of impossible. Jesus always says to us that we should not judge. So in our human law system, one person is always judged against, and there's a winner and a loser. But in love, there can't be any winners or losers. We all have to be on the same level. And I think this hypocrisy can be quite difficult to understand from our human perspective. But yeah, I love the way that God created the law of love, which is always at play here. And we reap what we sow. Our mind is the cause and the world is the effect. And whatever we do or don't do always comes back to us. And it can be very confusing from our human perspective to try and figure out we think we think we're doing the right thing when we're doing the wrong thing in the eyes of God. Although I shouldn't. It's hard to explain it like that because we're never really doing the wrong thing. We're always just having an opportunity to learn. Our illusions and dreams are just illusions and dreams. They're just opportunities for us to learn and heal our consciousness. And we understand that anybody else who's included in things that we do that aren't loving, they also attracted it for their own healing. So when I mentioned earlier that the darkness serves the light, I think this is a really cool concept where even the wars and things and people who we deem to be bad, they serve the light because they show us what we don't want. And the ego wants us to attack and defend ourselves against these seemingly external monsters, but really what they need is love and understanding to bring them back. So yeah, often we do need to ask the Holy Spirit for help to reinterpret things where we feel victimized, or we do truly believe that there is an external power or something bad that's outside of us. I know from healing things myself, we do always come back to the idea that love is the only power and that forgiveness is something that we must do. We're not forgiving what actually happened, we're forgiving the belief that anything could happen, that we could be in a dualistic world, in a crazy world, which could never be. God would never create sharks that eat people, or the electric chair, or diseases. If I was God, I wouldn't create a world that was so complicated and needed policing, and you had to judge whether things are right or wrong. Love would never do that. It's not loving, it's not comfortable, and it just sounds quite exhausting. So, yeah, love is an amazing power. And I do love just to understand that there's nothing that can oppose love, there's nothing that can oppose God. And then when we deviate from the light, and it seems like it's taken on a life of its own, it's become the devil, it's really just doubt. So the devil to me is like doubt and fear, mistrust, and all these things that we project into the external world. And because it's an illusion, we have to then be on the receiving end of our own thoughts and beliefs. If we mistrust others, then we're going to see mistrustful people everywhere. But it's because we called it forth. So in this way, we have complete power to attract whatever we want into our reality. And we may feel as though we don't, that doesn't really work that way. I feel like I'm attracting all sorts of things I don't want. But we really just need to learn that we're on our path and that we're always safe, and we can always reinterpret everything in a loving way and return back to love and peace. And use these circumstances, these contrasting experiences to level up, to see what we don't want, and to keep moving towards love. Keep moving towards the Three of Cups, the harmony and the celebration, the collaboration in the community with people. So, yeah, that's my reading for today from these 3 cards. I hope it helps. I love you all. Bye.